Let go, let go, let go. All week you have been carrying the weight of the world. Come, lay down your burdens. Loosen the grip of urgency, of striving, of all the shoulds. Let go, let go, let go. Good morning. My name is David Bakovin. I use the pronouns he, him. I am a middle-aged white man who has no body hair. And this morning I am your worship associate. And we invite you to practice effortless living, following the teachings of wild geese, mountain stream, mother oak, the wise ones who do without doing. Here is the gift of an hour to reclaim yourself, to gather up the bits of yourself that you've neglected or given away too easily. Attune to the deep rhythm of this watery body. Find the thump, thump, thump of your heartbeat. Here is the stillness between breaths. Here is your quiet wisdom. Here is the mystery of a path that walks itself. For the people follow the earth, earth follows heaven, heaven follows the way, and the way follows what is.
Good Sunday morning, everyone, and hello to our Zoom friends. It's good to have you with us. My name is Jen Youngsun Rue. I use pronouns she and her, and I am the minister of this wonderful congregation. I'll offer a brief visual description because we are a community of various disabilities. Some are less obvious than others. So today I'm wearing a plain short sleeve black dress with a very long green stole that almost reaches the floor because I'm only 5'3". My friends, it is good to be together, and it's good to see all of you here because it's been another week of heart-wrenching and infuriating news. Many of you, I know, are taking action. You're pushing, you're fighting, you're resisting. Yesterday, the UUCE Justice Council made a decision to formally join ACES, the Activist Coalition of Eugene, Springfield. And I know that we are going to keep building and strengthening our relationships with our neighbors. We are going to keep showing up for justice at the airport, like people are there at the airport this morning for the Avello protest. We are going to keep showing up at the weekly Veterans for Peace rally. And this coming Thursday at the 18th and Chambers rally to defend the forest. I know that you will keep showing up. We will keep doing all of these things. And because we are a people of faith, we will also take the time to stop and rest and to do things that deepen our spiritual strength. We gather as a people of faith to connect with the source of compassion, the wellspring of insight, and the dwelling place of wisdom. Some of you call that God. This is the insight and the wisdom that we all carry. So before we move into our ritual of joys and sorrows this morning, let's take a little bit of time to connect with that rhythm of what Mary Oliver calls the soft animal of our body. Imagine a place that you love. Imagine a place where you feel safe and held. What does the air feel like in that place? What do you hear in that place? What does it smell like? Can you feel the earth underneath you, solid and grounding? Breathe in the comfort of this place. And I'm going to come around with the handheld mic, and I'm going to ask you to consider. Hey, Kat, can I have the handheld? I'm going to ask you to share from this place of safety and grounding, what is breaking your heart today?
I started my career in public radio, and the loss of CPP and NPR and PBS, potentially, unless we step up, is going to be gone.
Intentional cruelty is breaking my heart.
What is breaking your heart today?
I just learned that my sister is entering hospice.
A friend who was well 6 months ago is going into respite and may not come back.
Gaza.
And what is your source of hope? What are you grateful for? What is your source of strength?
Love.
Music and art.
What is your source of hope and strength?
Being sober and being off drugs for 12 years.
Thank you. What is your source of hope and strength?
The peace that I find in nature.
Thank you.
Friends and community.
Unitarians in the community that we share.
Thank you so much.
Family.
Can you call it out? My kindergarten students. What a great way to end that little segment. Thank you so much, Christina. It's good to see you today. I want to share with you a little poem. It's actually a prayer that I've been carrying with me all week. It's by the Reverend Cameron Trimble. O Spirit of life, God of fierce mercy, we were taught to equate control with safety, to silence discomfort with order, and yet you whisper through the unruly places. You rise up in us in broken patterns. You meet us where our defenses crumble. And so let us seek not to dominate, but to discern, not to harden in our fear, but soften in your love. May it be so. Amen. For the people of the earth, for the people, follow the earth. For the people, follow the earth. And the earth follows heaven. And heaven follows the way. And the way follows what is. When our actions follow the way, or the Tao, we can experience something called Wu Wei. Wu Wei, effortless effort, effortless living. So let's start by thinking about the opposite of Wu Wei. Can you think of a time when you felt like life was a struggle and everything seemed hard and everything seemed like it had to be forced into place? Has anybody ever felt that? Trying too hard. Has anybody ever tried too hard and found that it didn't work? Is there someone who has a very specific example of that? Of trying too hard? Sometimes for me, it's with mechanical things. Like, if you're trying to unscrew something, and sometimes it takes a lighter touch, right, Emmett? Maybe less force is needed instead of more force, right? Trying to control things and manage things and make sure that we have a particular outcome. It seems like the more effort we put into that, the poorer the outcome sometimes. But then, sometimes the opposite, we experience the opposite, which is when we give in and we don't try as hard. We can experience a sense of ease, or we can experience a sense of flow. Some people call it flow. Have you ever had that happen? Yeah? Does anybody have a very specific experience of ease and flow when you have pulled back and not tried so hard?
Sometimes at a jam session.
Oh, with music.
Sometimes at a jam session, some kind of magic occurs, and people who all came from different places with different feelings and different ideas somehow mesh and make the same song.
When you're not trying very hard, sometimes that magic happens, right? Doesn't it feel like you're kind of in sync with life? You're going with the flow and you're aligned with some kind of energy current, right, that is beyond you and bigger than you.
Some of the things you practice have absolutely nothing to do with it.
And sometimes the things that you practiced really hard have nothing to do with that great flowy jam session, right? A few weeks ago when Joanna Macy died, I mentioned that she had great hope in something that she called the Great Turning, right? The idea that hundreds of thousands of people all around the world are pushing against the destructive forces and intentionally working really, really hard, putting lots and lots of effort into turning toward compassion. But something I didn't mention that day is that while she was a big advocate of the Great Turning, she also talked about the Great Unraveling. That at the same time that all this effort is being put out there into the Great Turning, there is also happening a great collapse and a great unraveling. And for that, what we need to do is just let go of things and let them go. So for those of us who grew up with the Western mindset, letting go of things, practicing Wu Wei, effortless effort, and following the Tao can be a very challenging experience, very challenging practice. And so that's why we sing, loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Breathe in, breathe out. Sink into the earth. Rise toward the heavens. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless like water. Move like water. Can you move like water? Move like water. Jason, you were moving like frozen water before. You put water into a cup, it becomes a cup. You put it into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. You put it into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Put water into this vessel, and it becomes a human. This is from the wisdom of Bruce Lee. We have a poem for you today. It's called Funny. And I selected 8 people before the service started to help us with this poem. You have a number on that little sheet of paper, reader 1, reader 2. So we're going to start with David, and then if you're reader 1, please raise your hand and I'll bring the mic to you.
What's it like to be a human? The bird asked. I myself don't know.
It is being held prisoner by your skin while reaching infinity.
Being a captive of a scrap of time while touching eternity.
Being hopelessly uncertain and helplessly hopeful.
Reader 4.
Being a needle of frost and a handful of heat. Breathing in the air and choking wordlessly.
It's being on fire with a nest made of ashes.
Eating bread while filling up on hunger.
It's got the last one.
It's dying without love, and it's loving through death.
That's funny, said the bird, and flew effortlessly up into the air.
Meditation is a perfect embodiment of Wu Wei. In meditation, there is great effort taken to be aware of everything and to be supremely awake. And at the same time, sitting in silent meditation takes very little effort at all. Much of Taoist philosophy has been captured in a text called the Tao Te Ching. And though it has been translated many, many times by scholars over the centuries, my favorite one is by the Portland author Ursula Le Guin. She describes the Tao Te Ching as the most lovable of all the great religious texts. Funny, keen, kind, modest, indestructibly outrageous, and inexhaustibly refreshing, she says. Wu Wei is woven throughout this text because Wu Wei literally means without acting, effortless effort. Sometimes people think that Wu Wei calls for being a passive doormat, just doing nothing and letting life kind of wash over you. But you know, there is quite a lot of action in Wu Wei. It's just action without ego. It's more of an allowing than a forcing. When actions are taken with great harmony with the great what is, then it seems effortless, almost like we're not doing anything. Another way that we can understand Wu Wei is through the imagery of the archer. Many years ago, I was at the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and the mall is this long, grassy area between the Capitol building and the Lincoln Memorial. It was the Smithsonian's Folklife Festival that weekend, and they were featuring the nation of Bhutan. Now, Bhutan is famous for its archers, and I watched the archers who consistently hit targets that were 475 feet away, and that's twice the distance of an Olympic archery competition. When you're standing close to a skilled archer like that, I witnessed them have so much grace and peace. They didn't appear to be tense. And when we spoke to some of them, they said, we don't really focus on the target. Because if you focus too much on the target itself, then you can get lost. The wise one acts with no expectation of reward, acting without doing, working without effort. So there's another aspect of Wu Wei, and that is flexibility and adaptability. Flexibility, being adaptable. So whether you're waiting for, your turn to return a serve in pickleball, or whether you're waiting at the doctor's office for your name to be called, let your body be loose. Let your mind be loose. All things, including the grass and the trees, are soft and pliable in life. Contrast that with the dry and brittle quality of death. Choosing to remain flexible is choosing life, because a tree that cannot bend will crack in the wind. So our dominant Western narrative is that strength is measured by how immovable you are in your thinking and how steadfast you are in your opinions. And weakness is then associated with those who bend. What if we changed our whole concept of strength? How would our relationships change? Instead of holding so tightly to our ego-centered, need to be right all the time and controlling the outcome and fighting against the fear of vulnerability, what if we could shift to actively listen like the bunny did this morning? How could work change? Instead of holding on to the goodness of busyness and perfectionism and production and output, could we listen to what our body needs all day long? Could we take breaks to move and refresh our minds? Could we be present to focus on one thing at a time instead of constantly trying to multitask? And while we're at it, could we possibly change the way we think about being strong and healthy? Because those two have really been tightly linked in our social standards. A few days ago, I shared an article with the church board. It was about what does it mean to be a healthy church? And in that article, the author quoted from the Disability and Health Journal, proposing that we move to a new definition of health, which is not about perfection and strength, but it's about the dynamic balance of physical, mental, social, and existential well-being in adapting to conditions of life. Adapting is possibly a new definition of health and strength. Friends, our bodies and our minds need to be flexible, and they need to be able to adapt for us to thrive in this world that's constantly changing. We need to be adaptable, and we need to be able to flow with the river. We need to learn how to yield to the wind and to follow the vibrations and the heartbeat of the earth. When we flow in harmony with the way, with the Tao, the what is, then we all can become disciples of life itself. So take a breath. Taste the wind. Absorb the sunlight. Take in this feast, prepared anew for us each day. Things rise, let them come. Things disappear, let them go. Remember who you are, and then let that go too. May it be so. Amen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, my friends, go into this brand new day, remembering to bear the things of this world, but not to own them, to act, but not to lay claim. Do the work and let it go, for just letting it go is what makes it stay. Go in peace, everyone. Go in love.